Africa should never be seen as a continent that needs generosity. We want to be treated as equals.
Is Africa waking up? Is Africa now opening their eyes? Yes, I can tell you this is the right spirit that at the moment is operating in Africa. And now, as you can watch this clip, I want you to listen to President Ramaphosa.
We're going to ask for a favor. So we were not on a begging mission. Africa should never be seen as a continent that needs generosity. We want to be treated as equals.
Is Africa waking up? Yeah, for sure. As I can tell you, this is the right spirit that needs to open, that needs to operate, that needs to work in African leaders. And for sure, this is indeed Africanization, what I have always talked about, what I've always wanted the African leaders to embrace. One thing that each and everyone knows is that South Africa is part of one of the countries, or rather part of the countries that are that are being used by the Western countries. And now, as we get it from the clip that I've just shared, of which I will give you the entire video to watch it and just to get your reaction, the president of South Africa has really opened up, and he was saying that Africa, we are not beggars. African, we are great people. It's only a few things that usually keep us to be loyal to something.
That we are being dealt with out of generosity. I think it's important in the new era that the world is in now that there should be a good measure of equality among sovereign nations. You know, recently 7 African countries decided to go and put a call for peace to Ukraine and to Russia. And we raised a number of issues. To us, this is very important. Our sovereignty is one of the things that we hold on dearly to. We were clear that we are not going there as beggars. We are not going to ask for a favor to both Ukraine and Russia. So we were not on a begging mission, even as we are in great need as a continent and all that. That should go to demonstrate that Africa should never be seen as a continent that needs generosity. We want to be treated as equals.
So President Ramaphosa says we are not poor, but it is the mentality that was put into us by the colonizers. It is the mentality that has always run and operated within our bloodstream as African. We all know as African, or rather it's something that we believe, if we are not helped, so that means we cannot help ourselves. It means, in other words, President Ramaphosa is trying to tell African leaders now, wake up. Just as I've always said, the president of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore, has been in the forefront to ensure that Africa grows, to ensure that Africa changes, to ensure that Africa turns around. Some of the leaders from Africa decided to betray him. They decided to be the puppet of the West, and they were in collaboration to do away with his life. But thank God, all this has been uncovered, and there is nothing that is going to operate within with this era of social media without this information getting out of hand within a few seconds. Thank God. You know, the times of Gaddafi is different with the current the generation. We have the Gen Zs who are aware of most of these things. They know how to operate this things on the internet. So before you even think of the thing is already out, and that is the true spirit of Africanization that we need to embrace at the moment. Let's continue watching the talk from the president of South Africa, Ramaphosa.
Even in the multilateral institutions, we want to be treated as equals. And if our equity is at a low ebb, there must be ways in which that can be addressed. I wanted to make that point so that it should be understood where Africa has evolved up to. We want to be key players on the world stage.
There is no more fooling for Africa. It means we all know as Africans, we have always been fooled, but there has been no way for us to escape. And most of African leaders, they're after their stomach. That's why there is no way for evading this particular problem. So they're always called in the boardrooms, and they're told, this is yours, so keep quiet. We need this, we give you this, and at the end of the day, we need this and this and this and that from your land. And you find that most of our African leaders buy into this. And it is something that needs to stop if we want our Africa to wake up, Africa to grow. We need leaders that will not look after their stomachs, leaders who will not look after their own interests, leaders who are not going to run after their own interests at the end of the day. So Ramaphosa says it is us to awaken our minds, wake up Africa. Yes, even if you do not want, even if you don't like it, just cooperate for the sake of the upcoming generation. Otherwise, if we don't do that, we will live in this kind of life of colonialism until Jesus Christ comes back. Let's continue watching and listen to what President Ramaphosa says.
President Macron wants us to address another issue which to us is a bit of a negative. You will have heard President Sisi talking about the 100 billion that was promised in Paris. President Sassou Nguesso yesterday as well also spoke about it at the dinner. Now, there is that issue that a number of the commitments that have been made have not really been fully lived up to. But there have been times when we felt like we were beggars. I played a key role as chair of the African Union during the COVID period. We felt like we were beggars when it came to vaccine availability, when we felt we needed access to vaccines, and the Northern Hemisphere countries had bought all the vaccines in the world, and they were hogging them. And they didn't want to release them at the time when we needed them most. And we felt like we were begging. And at times it felt like they would just be droppings from the table, that yes, we will give you that and that. And let me tell you something that generated a lot of resentment. We resented that, and it got worse when we said we want to manufacture our own vaccines. And when we went to the WTO, there was a lot of resistance, enormous resistance. And we kept saying, what is more important, life or profits by your big pharmaceutical companies? And that too, I must tell you now, generated and deepened that disappointment and resentment on our part, because we felt like life in the Northern Hemisphere is much more important than life in the global South. And these are issues that need to be addressed. And I'm glad that we are all seated here like this, because we've got to get to the heart of these matters and address them.
So, African, we need equality. That is what we are requesting. We just need equality. Yes? Yes, and we also need respect when it comes to matters of public interest and all those kind of in any way possible. We just need equality and respect. You know, we have always treated Africa. It's just yesterday that I was looking at the speakers, or rather the speakers were supposed to attend the African Union issues to do with the family. And you know what? The 70%, or rather, let me say 75% of the speakers are the white, and only 25% are the black. So, what is the purpose of this African Union if the leads are the whites? So what is the main, the purpose of this thing? I think I tend to agree with President Ibrahim Traore when it comes to such things, because if the thing is meant to change and turn around African life, so why is it that we are also having other, I don't know, but according to my take would be maybe perhaps 25% should have been, and then now the 75% the African, because it is something that concerns Africa. Yeah, so African, they need not to be fooled anymore. Time is here, and it is the right time for us to wake up. It is the right time for us to open our minds and need to know what is supposed to be done at what time, where exactly, with the who, and for what reasons. Otherwise, if we do not question that, we continue to bow down, there is no more change that is going to happen in Africa. President Ramaphosa has just put it clear. Mentality, we start with mentality if we need change. That is the first thing. If we change our minds and know that Africa has all that it takes for it to be great, that is the first starting of our great move. Thank you, President Ibrahim Traore. You are doing a great job, and Africans globally, we are behind you. And this is the person, you are the person that we have been waiting for all along. It is you, the chosen one, that we have been waiting along. So I kindly request you not to push back, not to look into any threat, not to look into any kind of, you can be, you get some, Africans, they are fond of getting brown envelopes in the boardrooms. But for you, I kindly and humbly request you that continue focusing, continue looking forward, and I know through that Africa is going to be great. Africa is going to be an exemplary in these coming days. My name is Isaac Wabomba, and if you haven't subscribed, please ensure you do that as we proceed with more kind of this content. Remember, this is Africanization, and we are here to ensure Africa turns around. Bye bye. Let me get to your reaction in the comment section.
I think it's important in the new era that the world is in now that there should be a good measure of equality among sovereign nations. Recently, 7 African countries decided to go and put a call for peace to Ukraine and to Russia. And we raised a number of issues. To us, this is very important. Our sovereignty is one of the things that we hold on dearly to. We were clear that we are not going there as beggars. We are not going to ask for a favor to both Ukraine and Russia. So we were not on a begging mission, even as we are in great need as a continent and all that. That should go to demonstrate that Africa should never be seen as a continent that needs generosity We want to be treated as equals. Even in the multilateral institutions, we want to be treated as equals. And if our equity is at a low ebb, there must be ways in which that can be addressed. I wanted to make that point so that it should be understood where Africa has evolved up to. We want to be key players on the world stage.